Hey, Grandma Hands, just a small update. There's not much going on in this garden. It will look different to you all because I have moved some stuff around. You know, everything in here heavy, so yeah, it took me about 3 days to get stuff moved around. But anyway, my Edo's hanging out over here. I remember telling you all that my okras was winding down, but they have I am harvesting again out here, so they are kicked up a notch. Here's the ginger and turmeric. See, I have flowers and okra coming here. Sweet potatoes. Now, see, I messed up the other sweet potato because I was not prepared for sweet potatoes this year, as I told you all. But when Bayou gifted me some at the camp, I had to just come home and find pots to put them in. So the other pot that I put it in was one of these, what you call it, crates. And so it didn't really have that much soil in it. So in my mind, I kept thinking, was this enough soil in here? Is this thing really, going to grow, even though it still had pretty green leaves? So I pulled one whole side of it up and there was nothing. I said, see there, I knew I was wasting my time. So I went to rip the rest of it out, and what was in there? 3 sweet potatoes. So anyway, so this one probably has to have some good, oh, I see, no, I thought that was one. This one has to have some good sweet potatoes in it because that one had 3 nice sized sweet potatoes and it didn't even have enough soil in it because I wasn't prepared for sweet potatoes. So, more okra still coming here, 2 flowers over here. This is the one that's going to seed. I have 3 nice sized ones that's going to seed, but see this one back here? I think I might have to snatch that one off today. And then I still have some little ones. And the carousel, nothing's really going on with the things that I showed you that I put in the other day. And it may be because some of these things are, cool tolerant, and it's anything but cool out here. So nothing going on in the scallop. Got a little Swiss chard coming up. I don't even know if that's a broccoli or if that's just a weed right there. I just put this Brussels sprout out this morning from my hydroponic. The Romanesco, nothing's going on back there, but I see a little green something tucked up under there. Uh-oh, it's starting to rain on me. Brussels sprout, look like it might be doing something. And the rest of this is the previous stuff. This was the last tomato tree on this carousel, which I can't take it out because it's trying to dislodge the entire thing. So these roots, honey, must go far and wide. So this gonna have to just sit there. And this radish look like it's trying to make a move. And then today I just put some few little things from the hydroponic out here. This is the last tomato plant. These 4 o'clocks, I didn't even know because I had never had 4 o'clocks before, but now look, after 3 months, because I think I planted these in April, been longer than 3 months. And they're just now getting flowers. And those little, what's the name of those little bitty flying hummingbirds? They are loving these little red flowers up there. Okay, the other things I had grew, beets, starting to come up. I don't even know if that's yeah, maybe because they look alike. Okay, I got 2 little collards trying to come up. I have a basil coming up in the middle of these carrots. And then I have another flower, and well, I may as well take this okra off here. This is going to be breakfast today. I think I'll save that one till tomorrow. This watermelon tree is giving me the blues because it's full of bugs every day, and I have to come out here and clean them off. I had to back up. I really can't show you the watermelon tree because my phone is getting wet, so I'm standing up under this little ledge. because I have a little story time for you all. I still have a few little bell peppers on here. There's nothing in this one. And that's all I have going out here. I still have this one pepper waiting to turn orange. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you all about advocating for yourself, which I talk to you all the time about this, and following your gut. Okay, so a few years ago, I went to this dentist, and I went there for a general cleaning, and she would not clean my teeth because she said I needed the general cleaning. I think that's what it was. So I had to wait, go through insurance and all of that to get approved for them to do that extensive cleaning thing. Okay, so I got that done. And when I went there, I think I got that done. And so then I ended up getting an abscess on my tooth. So I went in there and I told her I had an abscess tooth, and she recommended that I go somewhere else, and I did. And got the tooth pulled. But then the tooth looked like that was pulled, it looked like the gum was swollen behind it. So I went in there just to ask her, is this normal? Or does this need to be, or is this swelling? And she said, but before I could tell her that, I said, that's what I went in there to talk to her about. Before I could have a conversation with her, she already comes in there telling me that I had a problem with one of my teeth. And I was like, well, I came in here to ask you about this. And she said, oh. And so she looked at it, and then she said, no, that's normal. And then she said, okay, talk to you later. And I'm like, I kept thinking to myself, well, why was you telling me? You was telling me that I needed some work done. But now that I've told you that's not what I come here for, I just wanted to ask a simple question. Now there's nothing wrong with that too. So I've been looking at her side-eyed since. So I made up my mind, you know what, I don't think I'm going back to her, because she the very first time I came in here, she kind of threw me off, with trying to tell me, things that was going on in my mouth. And I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, I go in there again. I said, I think I have an abscess in this tooth. This was August 16th. So she walks in there and she said, what's the problem? I said, I think I have an abscess in this tooth. First thing came out of her mouth was, oh, there's my little hummingbird. Oh, he just flew away. First thing came out of her mouth was, so are you going to get the implants? She just started running out the options. And I said, no, I'm going to get it pulled. So she walks out, takes her gloves off and said, and I hear her voice traveling down the hallway, you made my work easier. And I'm thinking, whatever happened to when you go to the dentist, they pull up the x-ray, they walk over to the x-ray and they say, you see this little shaded in area right here? That's an abscess. She never ever confirmed, yes, you have an abscess, or yes, there's an infection in there. She never ever said what was wrong with that tooth. She just started giving me options of what to be done about that tooth, which is the work that she does. She don't do pulling. So when she walked out and said, this is, you made my work easier, they had to recommend me to a dentist. And when I left out of there, I started calling my family. I'm like, wait a minute, my gut, I am not feeling good about this conversation. I said, why she did not confirm, yes, I had an abscess. Why did she not go to the x-ray like they generally do and show me the abscess? I said, I'm really concerned about this. I said, I feel like not even going to get this tooth pulled. I said, but then if it is an abscess, I'm the one going to be harmed because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Okay, so I went ahead and scheduled to have the tooth pulled. Took me 2 months to get in. Couldn't understand why she didn't just send me to the dentist she sent me the last time. She sent me to, I guess you know how one hand washes the other. So anyway, I go in there finally yesterday, and I had to fill out some papers on that they sent to my phone, 10 pages long. And they told me if I didn't have that to them and the x-rays by 1 o'clock yesterday, 1 o'clock the day before yesterday, that they was going to have to cancel. Okay, so I finally get all this paperwork done. I get in there. So when they finally called me after and out, first of all, I'm ticked off because I had to pay $160. It was not just to go in there and get my tooth pulled. It was for consultation. So I'm already perturbed now that I done spent $160 when you could have just sent me to the one doctor who would have just pulled it. Okay, so I sit there for an hour. They finally call me back there. The lady is going over the paperwork. Why is she asking me every question? Y'all threatened me about filling out this 10-page long thing, but now you're going to sit there and ask me every question that was on there. But because I'm not the person who I used to be back in the day, I sit there and I just answered questions. But I kept, because she was behind me, so I kept turning around, looking at her like, seriously? But I didn't say anything. But a couple times in there, she kept asking, so why do you want this tooth pulled? And I was like looking real strange. I'm like, because I don't want any other work done on it. I just want to, oh, you just want a one and done. Uh-huh. And so then we go along some more and she asks again, she said, but why do you really want the tooth pulled? I said, well, what does the x-ray say? She said, so she pulled it up, but her back is turned. Why, after she hit the button to pull it up, she's still writing. And so I'm looking at the x-ray and I'm examining the x-ray really well. And I do see some little issues around the tooth that I came there for, right? I see some little dark shaded areas. But then I glance over to the left side of my mouth and I'm like, whoa. I said, ma'am, how old is this x-ray? She said, well, I don't know. This is what they sent over here. I said, ma'am, that x-ray is old. I said, because right here, I clearly don't have a tooth right there. So why is a tooth on this x-ray? And she just looked at it. She said, oh, let's go get an x-ray. So we went and get an x-ray. I mean, he has state of the art. You hear me? This big old screen was in front of me. And so I heard her out in the hall telling him my concerns. And so he comes in there, he said, so what's going on? And he said, which tooth we talking about? And I said, this one. Well, you can see all the way from where I'm sitting that there is some discoloration. He said, oh yeah, that tooth right there. He said, yeah, that needs to come out. He said, but wait a minute. Before I make that call, let me do something. So his little state-of-the-art machine pulled that tooth out from the lineup with the rest of the tooth and turned that tooth around. He said, well, wait a minute. He said, that very well could be the material. He said, because some of the material that these teeth are made out of it makes it look like there's a problem with the tooth. He said, so let me look in your mouth. So he came on, he said, oh, that tooth looks good. He said, now I'm on the fence. He said, because that tooth looks good. He said, oh, how much pain you in? I said, I'm in no pain. I said, I was in pain back in June. I said, she gave me antibiotics. I said, but it's not in pain anymore. He said, well, have you had any deep cleaning? I said, yeah, I had some deep cleaning. He said, well, you know, they have to dig. Well, he said, well, maybe that was it. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, I cannot justify pulling this tooth because it looks just like the material that we use to put in, crowns. He said, so what we gonna do is we just gonna keep an eye out on it. And I'm like, bet. And so then I guess that's what she was looking at when she kept on asking me why you want this tooth pulled. Because I guess she had already saw the x-rays and couldn't justify it. But the thing is, she was looking at an x-ray from when, who knows when. Why didn't she send an x-ray that claimed I had an abscess? Because that's the x-ray I was anxious to see because I was so curious a year ago. Back in August when she told me that it was she didn't. Let me take that back. She did not tell me it was an abscess. I said I thought I had one, but she never confirmed out of her mouth, yes, you have an abscess, yes, you have an infection, and here it is right here. None of that ever. So he said, but I do see a problem with one of your teeth. He said, right here you have a little tiny hole. He said, so you need to get that fixed. He said, but that's all I see wrong inside of your mouth. He said, so we just gonna keep an eye, you just let us know, when if there's a problem with that tooth, and then we'll take care of it then. But I can't justify pulling out a tooth that looks that good and you're not suffering from it when you bite down or any of that. I'm like, cool, bet. Because I done already missed a whole night of sleep preparing for this day because, I've had issues at the dentist. So I am like anxiety all over the place when I have to go to the dentist. Because I hate going to the dentist. And then when you already hate it and then people make mistakes inside your mouth, that makes you really on the edge about wanting to go to a dentist. So anyway, so now I do. So they just called me right before I made this video because they sent the information over to her, and I'm like, dang it, I wish they had just given that information to me, because I'm going to find me another dentist and go get this filled by that person, because that other woman, no ma'am, I'm so done. And you know how you try to keep the money in the community, you know what I mean, but that is not working for me. And so I will try to find me a new dentist to fill that tooth. But she just called me to tell me that I told you I would send this information over to your dentist, but they just made me aware that no, you have to do that. And so she told me the number of the tooth, which I was so happy, because I said, I guess I'm going to have to call them and find out what number that tooth is, because I am not communicating with that dentist anymore. So now that I know the number of the tooth, I am going to find me a dentist. So bottom line, follow your gut. From the very first time I walked in this woman's office and she kept trying to do some things that would put money in her pocket, she been on my side eye ever since. And so then to come up to this part and she's still telling me different things, and then y'all gonna send an x-ray over that was who knows how long, why you didn't send the one that shows an abscess. So that would have helped him out. He could have said clearly, yeah, there was the abscess right there, we better go ahead and take that out before the infection come back. See, that could have been detrimental to my health, and it still could be if there indeed was an abscess back there, because now he has no proof that there was an abscess back there. So advocate for yourself. I'm going to keep an eye on it too. I'm going to make up some of my little chemicals. What I do. But I'm always taking care of everybody else first. So I've been ran out of my solutions. They end up giving it to somebody else who had teeth problems. And so I'm going to make up my stuff and keep my mouth rinsed and taken care of. And if it comes back, then I will contact him. But follow your gut. Advocate for yourself. And if it don't feel right, it's probably not. Thank you all for listening, who stayed to the end. God bless you all. I pray for you. You pray for me. We'll pray for our nation. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.